Alright, welcome to Bad Battlebots Takes featuring Facebook. This is all taken from the Battlebots Facebook group, which I gotta say is the worst cesspool of opinions and people who should not have internet access I've ever seen in terms of BattleBots. I honestly think it's worse than BattleBots Twitter, and by far it's worse than BattleBots Reddit. I'm not a Redditor though, so you'll just have to take my word for that. Ken Schultz says, just a thought. I am not a fan of Minotaur. That being said, I think an opponent should have a piece of titanium that breaks off into their spinner to jam it. Game over. 132 comments on that one. Oh boy, well, I guess either a lot of people also really hate Minotaur or they just really feel the need to explain this whole situation to Mr. Ken Schultz. Mary King says, went to see BattleBots Destructo Con. What a disappointment. 5 fights, one of which a bot destroyed a stationary slot machine. Half the time was filled with videos from the TV show. Some bots from the original TV show were featured, but all the bots were driven by the same 2 guys. None of the original drivers or developers were there. No Farouk, no judges. Would not recommend spending the time or the money. Alright, I guess if you're not into that kind of stuff. I mean, don't expect to be seeing a live version of the show. It's a totally different thing. I hope to get over to Destructo Con sometime, but, you know, I'm in college, don't have the money for that. Alright, Gavin Jane Chaffin says, I love this show. It's the only show I can't wait to watch every week. The one thing I wish they'd remedy is their insistence on allowing new bots onto the show that haven't proven their worthiness. The show needs to adopt a vetting process for allowing new bots on the show. I would like to suggest something I call the Rusty Rule. All new bots have to beat Rusty in a match. And if you can't at least beat Rusty, you shouldn't be on the show. If this turns out to be too many fights for Rusty to handle, they could bring back Chomp to help out with some of the bouts. They could call it the Rusty/Chomp Rule. If you can't beat Rusty or Chomp, you should not be in combat robotics. This way, they could even give Rusty his own show. That should satisfy all the Rusty fanboys out there. I mean, Rusty, Chomp, it's a pretty big delta of combat power. But you do you, Gavin. Daniela Chavez says, "Dose the wheels have to made of rubber." Okay. Oh gosh, this one, this comment thread was from a question that said, what teams do you want to see lose? And so Dimitra Philippides says, some of the team members of Minotaur need to be humbled. I don't know who you're talking about. I would probably consider them, for, you know, the guys that literally wrote the book on combat robotics, they seem pretty humble. Tantrum, but I am sure that will happen. They need to tear the Tantrum banner down. I am sure the judges loathe seeing it as their worst mistake ever. Not so much that they got gifted a win, but who should be there instead and got ripped off. Dun dun dun. Man, tear the banner down. A little bit dramatic, see? And then Geo Clark, this one's my favorite. Crapped in Shredderator and Starchild. Man, you really got him there. One non-functioning crap bot and a copycat. I mean, does this any large robot with 2 big wheels mean it's a copy of Huge? If anything, Starchild is a copy of, like, Gabriel from Robot Wars. Even then, that's a bit of a stretch. And this next one is very straight to the point. Doug, Doctor. Yeah. At least 5 people agree with him. Benny Pricey says, we've seen that long, low forks are a good tactic against Minotaur. A lack of kill saws would allow every bot to have insane endgame style forks. Ipso facto, being anti-kill saws is being anti-Minotaur. I have no idea what this is trying to argue. Like, is it saying that having kill saws is the only reason why Minotaur is winning? Or, like, is it just like people wouldn't be using long forks if there weren't kill saws? Or whatever. I just want to say, anyone that says ipso facto in real life is 100% just trying to sound smart. Oh, this is a long one. Thank you to Bonnie Kurtz Sanders for this. I guess they just don't like full body disc spinners. They don't like Captain Shred. They also don't like Zach and Diana. Diana is so loud and brash and annoying. Like, really? Ripperoni is too new for me to care. I kind of don't like them just because they are new. Wow, that's something. I don't like them because they're new. Beta, don't like. Why beta and not beta? Do they just, like, not get the pun on beater and having a British accent? Beta? Like, Hypershock used to be one of my faves, but kind of losing its allure to me. Will Bales acts just as happy losing as winning. I don't like that. I want to watch people that care, and I'd like to see at least a little disappointment on their face. I mean, did you ever see that fight where Hypershock loses and Will Bales just goes, I wanna take a nap so bad. Mad Catter, seriously, you hate that guy? I can understand not liking the character, but by all accounts, Martin Mason's a really great guy, and I think his whole gimmick about being a community college team that wants to take on the big universities, that's a cool story. Alright, Bonnie, that's enough of your hot takes. Shane Berry, whatever happened to the Housebots? I guess we'll never know. Gaza Slatcher says, Farouk, do we actually need him? What does he do exactly? If you can't figure out what Farouk does on the show, I think you need to go back to elementary school. It's not that hard to figure out what an announcer does. And this is probably my favorite interaction on the whole thing. Eric Adams says, Grabberbots are so boring. And Eric Schaefer says, only boring people get bored. And Tim Tortella comes back and just says, you're so stupid. This is the most Facebook thing I've ever seen on Facebook. It's just someone coming straight up saying, you're so stupid.